Next up for Manchester United is Newcastle at home on Wednesday night in the League Cup. Last season, the League Cup was the first trophy in 6 years. It was something big. It was something important. This season, it's not a measure of success. However, given what's happening with Man United right now, going out of the League Cup, it's just not something that United need. I'm going to run through my prediction, my predicted starting 11, take a look at Newcastle team news and the tactical battles that you might see on Wednesday night. Because I tell you what, Ten Hag has got to drop some key players. Rashford, Bruno, anybody else? You let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you get your 11 in. Let's get straight into this, all right? If you're looking at team news, right, Man United have got plenty of injuries, and so do Newcastle. Now, this is a Newcastle team that is playing Arsenal on Saturday in the Premier League, then going away to Dortmund in the Champions League. They've got a busy schedule. They're playing 3 games a week. Welcome to the big leagues. And they're struggling. Tonali's now banned. You can see the names of Harvey Barnes, Jacob Murphy, Sven Botman. Their squad is getting tested. And I think a good indicator of who they'll play is by taking a look at the team that actually knocked City out the game before. They made plenty of changes. And I imagine they're going to make similar changes there. Of course, Tonali can't play. So who else are they going to play in midfield? Maybe they'll play Bruno because they're playing us. They'll want a little bit of revenge for last year in the Carabao Cup. So what I'm going to do now is take a look at the team that United played against City. I'd rather not talk about City. Can we just pretend it didn't happen? It was crap. All right. And I think there are going to be plenty of changes to that team. Erik Ten Hag, last season, he did not rotate at all. All right. And I think it was a contributor to Manchester United's ridiculous injury problems, crisis, whatever you want to call it this season. It's not the only reason. It's part of it, as is the fixture list last season and a few other things, all right? Now, there are some changes I think will happen and some changes I don't think will happen. I would love to put India in here because the League Cup is where you want to give your backup goalkeeper the opportunity to prove himself. Ten Hag didn't play India in the last round. I don't think he will now, especially with Onana being one of the only form players in the team. Copenhagen, penalty save, City performance. Onana keeps his place in this 11. And I think, well, fingers crossed we won't need him. But yeah, given that we've not got many form players in this team, I think he starts. Now, in defence, right, that defence starting against City was just, it was brutal. Evans and Maguire together. I don't think that happens again. I think what we'll see is Evans drop to the bench, Maguire drop into left centre-back, and that man come in, Raphael Varane. Who could have possibly predicted that Rafa Varane might have had injury problems this year? It's why all of us knew that we needed someone like Jean-Claude Todibo, and why Maguire leaving and him coming in was going to be such a positive. I think Varane will be sold in the summer because, simply put, his body can't be relied on. It's the age of his career and where he is and the demands that are required in the Premier League. But Varane, I think, will come in for this game. And fingers crossed he can step up. We need Varane to be fit. My God, we've hardly got any centre-backs this season. Jeez, we need some experience in there. So fingers crossed he's fit. And I hope as well that this man is fit to start. He came on against City. But, mate, Lindelof at left-back is making me sick. Can't do it. It's a hard position to play when it's just like a standard fullback, let alone a Ten Hag fullback that has to invert, cut inside. He's looked like a lost puppy. Doesn't really know what he's doing. I hope that we'll see Sergio Reguilon come in for Lindelof at left back and for us to actually have a left back playing at left back. Sure, hurry up and get fit, please. My word. We haven't got anybody else to play at right back, so I think Delo will keep his spot. I don't think, well, to be fair, he's been one of our more consistent players, but it is a very low bar. All right, it is an extremely low bar. However, bigger changes, I think, are coming and are needed in midfield and attack. And I think in this game is where we see both Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford drop to the bench. Bruno Fernandes is a player that I love, but Bruno Fernandes has not been impacting games the way that he should be in these last few games. He is that speed transitional player, but he's not really capable of slowing the game down. And Marcus Rashford has just been. Someone tell me what's wrong with Marcus Rashford. Seriously, what is going on with him? He's just not in the game at all. So I think you will see in this game Bruno drop to the bench. I'll speak about who his replacement's going to be a little bit later. And Rashford dropped to the bench as well. So big changes. And I think in midfield, my word, do we need Casemiro to refine some sort of form? Seriously. He's not been there all season. Neither's Rashford. Some players that we could depend on last year. And our squad's not exactly littered with quality and depth. So for 2 key players in Rashford and Casemiro, who both scored in the final against Newcastle, who both were influential, so influential across the course of the season, Please, Casemiro, come back and actually put in a decent performance. All right. So I'm going to put him in. I think Amrabat will drop to the bench. I think Casemiro will start. And I think, well, let's see if I'm right or wrong. I'll probably be completely wrong. But I'm going to put these two midfielders in with him. I'm going to put Hannibal in. I'm going to drop McTominay to the bench. And I am going to start Mason Mount. That would be my midfield trio. All right. I don't particularly think that Hannibal did anything wrong to get dropped out of the team. Like, especially, was it Burnley away? And what was the game? I can't remember what the second game was. Was it the Champions League? Can't remember. Anyway, Hannibal proved that he could be a player that Ten Hag relies on. And in a midfield where you're going to reintroduce Casemiro, you need runners. You need runners alongside him. Let Casemiro just sit in a... And this is something that Casemiro definitely has to improve himself. Like, dude, hold that positional discipline, dude. All right? One second, that's wrong. Let me get rid of that. Stay in this area and do not move. Please. I want Casemiro to just hunt centrally, try and get the ball in these areas, but make sure he's never really too far away from it, because if he does that, he's going to find himself exposed. But that's where Hannibal and Mount and the legs that they bring will add a lot into that midfield. And I actually would think that's a pretty decent midfield. There's a lot of changes in this team, but it's not as if I'm just putting in kids. Now, Kobbie Mainoo could, of course, come into this team, but Hannibal deserves his chance, and I think Kobbie Mainoo will come off the bench, but I don't think he'll start this game. Now, you could well see Eriksen there. You could, if you wanted to play McTominay there. I don't know why you want to play McTominay there. Please don't start McTominay, please, please, please. But I would put Hannibal and Mount there. Mason Mount has been getting a ton of stick. He's not been that good compared to what the expectations were when he came in. But I think to not start him against City at the weekend was a bit weird from Erik Ten Hag, I'll be honest. He didn't start Antony. It's like £140 million worth of signings that you're not starting. 135, whatever it is. Mason Mount should be starting this game. Now, we move into attack. And this is where, as I said, there's going to be some big changes. And you know exactly who I want to start on the left wing. And I don't really think this should be a question. I think this should be an absolute guarantee that Garnacho starts on that left wing with Hannibal and Mount as the two number 8s. Hannibal covers so much ground. He might be number 8 on paper, but he's always going to drop in and be a second central midfielder when needed, and also support the press in attack. I don't know how aggressive United will go in the press, considering we're playing Newcastle, but as I said, they're going to make a lot of changes because they're playing 3 games a week. It's not going to be a full-strength team, and their team right now isn't completely full strength. Their form is, they've been pretty consistent, I'll be honest. Let's see what comes. I have no idea. It's going to be like 8,000 Geordies at Old Trafford on Wednesday night. It's going to be a serious atmosphere. Now, one player who I don't think will start this game is Rasmus Højlund. I think we'll see Anthony Martial start. So if there's one thing that we've learned so far, given the fact that Erik Ten Hag keeps taking Højlund off, it's not because Højlund's not impacting the game. Pretty much every time he's been one of the more positive players. It must be because he's not physically capable of putting in the full 90s every game. So in this situation, if Ten Hag can give him a little bit of a rest and keep him fit and fresh for Fulham, then Martial will come in. And if we need a goal, then Martial will come off in the 60-minute mark. But I think we'll see Anthony Martial start this game, right? I could be spectacularly wrong. No doubt I will be. Let's be completely honest. Martial, you know what I think about Martial. He's in the same category as Varane. Quality player. Do I expect you to start more than 2-3 games in a row without having some injury problems? Probably not. Can't be relied upon. It's not their fault. It's just the conditions of their body. And you might say that is their fault. I think he starts this game. And also someone who surely starts this game is Antony. As I said, it was a bit weird that he didn't start against City. You can't. I mean, it's not really a good show of trust from Ten Hag, I suppose, in that game. But maybe he just didn't think he was sort of the right player for that scenario. Sod knows what it was. But Antony didn't start. And I think Antony will start this game. So, as you can see, there's a lot of changes in this 11, right? Including Antony from Erik Ten Hag, if I'm right, which it probably won't be. I'm going for a back 5 of Onana, Reguilon, Maguire, Varane, and Dalot. There's not really too many more changes you can make in that defence. You could play Evans there. Could play Lindelof there. Please no. Nobody can really play right back apart from Dalot. If he gets injured, sod knows who's playing right back. Maybe Kobbie Mainoo. No idea. I brought Casemiro with Hannibal and Mount in midfield and a front 3 of Garnacho, Martial, and Antony. Now, that is a lot of changes from Erik Ten Hag if that was to be the case. But Newcastle, as I said, playing 3 games a week, they're going to make changes. They're not completely in form. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere. It'll be a good game. And my prediction, hey, I would like to think that United could just give a nice, comfortable 2-0 win. Get a goal in the first half an hour. Newcastle then chasing the game. We get a second in the 70th minute. And then for the last 20, we just bring on Amrabat and Eriksen and we control and see out the game of football. That's never going to happen. That's what I would like to happen. So I'm going to try and visualise to realise. So I'm going to predict a 2-0 win for United. Again, I'm probably going to be spectacularly wrong. That would be the starting 11 I'm going for. You can let me know who you think I should be putting in there, what changes you would like to see. I'd love to see Mainu in there, but I don't think he'll start in his first game back. I think he'll come off the bench. Perfect game for him to do that. But of all these players, of all the players that come in, and I hope they have an impact in this game, I hope Casemiro finds some form, man. Because my word, do we need that? Do we need him to refine that leader status that he created himself last season? And I think now is this the perfect game to just take Bruno and Rashford out of the spotlight, let others take their opportunities, and if they do, good. If they don't, bring them off the bench. Well, given how they've been playing, they're not exactly going to... Will they impact the game? I have no idea what to think about United anymore. I really don't. Just win. Please. I'm basically begging at this point. What's your prediction, though? And your 11? Let me know in the comments.